he sits sated, gowned about in clerical ease habit, watching bland Saul slide dodgsomely into the nevermore, a globule of Magdalness, about to corugitate his mild-jewed cheek, and the tatter of a tiny Victorian Alice, pressed by his limper-looser. Yet certain one is, ere the following winter had over ease habit, watching bland Saul slide dodgsomely into the nevermore, a globule of Magdalness, about to corugitate his mild-jewed cheek, and the tatter of a tiny Victorian Alice, pressed by his limper-looser. Yet certain one is, ere the following winter had over the pages of nature's book, until Cadabra Araclea became Dablena Tertia, the shadow of the huge outlander, Maledic, Multvult, Magnophorus, had bulked at the bar of a rota of tribunals in Manor Hall as in Thieves' Kitchen, mid-pillow talk and shithouse chat, on Marlborough Green as through Molesworth Fields, here sentenced pro-tried with Jedburgh justice, there acquitted contestimony with benefit of clergy. His thing mod have undone him, and his mad thing has done him man. His beneficiaries a legion in the party created, they number up his years. Great Wheel Dunlop was the name was on him. He hung, all we are his bicycles. As holiday in his house, so was he priest and king to that. All we came, envy saw, ivy conquered. Lo, they have waved his green boughs o'er him, as they have torn him limb from limb, for his mortification and expiration and damnation and annihilation, with shrice and greed de profound suspires. Steady Sullivans, Marikins, pause, Longtongue's breech is fallen down, but Granius screeds abroad. Do stay fideli ones, and feel the flucher's balls, for the total of your flouts is not fit to fan his fettle. Have a ring and sing whole, chin, and of course all chimed in with the utmost boviality, swiping rums and bones and sherries and ciders and negus and citronades too. The strongers. Oh ho, Mr. Beg, you're about to be bagged in the bog again, bog. But soft is side, a hue for gases. But lo, by the threatening gods, human, erring, and condonable, what the statues of Arkwo, who is the mischief Bjarkwan, assure there the unforgettable tree shade, looms up behind the jostling judgments of those, as all should owe, mal-recapturable days. Tap, and pat again. Fire first shot, messieurs the refusaliers, paying pyong for Saxon looting. Three tonics, soldiers free, Catholic and Catapee of the cold stream. Guards were walking in, pardonnez-le, je vous en prie, Montgomery Street. One voiced an opinion in which, on either wide, pardonnez, nodding, all the Finnecamps concurred. Je vous en prie, It was the first woman, they said, souped him that fatal Wellsday, Lily Cunningham, by suggesting him they go in a field. Roth Maud Elfa, Ruth Red still stand, Roth racked Roth, confessed Private Pat Marchison, retro. Terse. Thus, contenders with Sandhurst track. One of our coming Vauxhall on the boards, who is resting for the moment, she has been called by a noted stagey elocutioner, a waste packet sitten, was interviewed in a West End beauty parlour. Looking, perhaps, even more beauty-flushed in her cherry-derry Padua-soys girdle and braces by the half-moon and 7 stars, russets from the blackamoor's head amongst the climbing boys of his eagle and child, and over the corn and hay and tars of their black and all black, Mrs. F.A. said aside, half in stage a whisper to her confidant glass, while recoupering her cartwheel chapeau, a hat, and we now know what thimbles of Beckett's on Lallance at all means, she hoped Sir Arthur would get a Christmas portrait of orange and lemon-sized orchids with holigs and ether from the theatre of the Innocents, as the world had been uncaned. Then, while it is odorous comparising to the sprang flowers of his birthday, which was a veritable garden party for the rainworms and the charlatinas and all branches of climatitis, it has been such a wonderful night entirely, added she, with many regards to Maha's Pranyapansi. Tart. Prehistoric obited to his dictaphone and entomologist. His propenomen is a properismenon. A dustman, knock-named 7 churches in the employ of Messrs. Ashburn, Saltpeter, and Ashryborn, prayer-makers, Glinterlook, was asked by the sisterhood the next question during his midday collation of lever and buckram, alternatively with stenk and kidney fry in a hash house, and thank heaven responded impulsively, "We have just been propagandering his nullity suit and what they took out of his ear among my own crush. All our fellows at O'Day's, sages with Arata Calaman, he is a cemented brick bucket hall." A more nor usually sober car driver, who was jauntily hosing his runabout Ginger Jane, took a strong view. Laurie hosed her as he talked, and this is what he told Rewrite Man. "Our Waker is just a plain pink joint reformee in private life, but folks all have it. By Brehmon's laws, he has parliamentary honours." Ice Caffier said, "Luigi's, you know that man. Brilliant, savourin. Mon foi, you wish to have some omelette. Yes, lady. Good, my labour. Your hig, he must break himself. See, I crack so, he sit in the poêle, unbedimmt." A perspirer over 60, who was keeping up his tennises, panted, "He knew, toi, to correct information, but a diff pair flannels Clyde wore, and trespassing on doorbell." After full-blown Braddon, hear this fresky trotterella. A railway's barmaid's view, they call her Spiltier's rue, was thus expressed, to sympathisers of the dull line, Death Avenue, and into those objects of her pity-prompted ministrance, to Wet Man and his siphon. Him. It is ever too late to whistle when Phyllis floods her stable. It would be scarlet shame to jail him in lockup, as was proposed to him by the Sedums creature. What matter what merry tricks went off with his revolver in connections with him being an orphan and enjoining such wicked him. Well done, Drumcollikill. Kitty Tyrrell is proud of you, was the reply of a BOT official. Oh, blame not the board. While the daughter's bank letter murmured in unison, "God forget his Julie legs." Brian Linsky, the cub cursor, was questioned at his shouting box, ball on a bracket, and gave a snappy comeback when saying, "Paw, once more I'll hellbowl. I am for caveman chase and Sahara sex block you. Them 2 bitches ought to be leashed, can 'em. Off hog and whore hunt. Paw." A would-be martyr, who is attending on Sanitasitas, where he is being taught to wear bracelets, when grilled on the point, revealed the undoubted fact that the consequence would be that so long as Sankhyamundi played his mango tricks under the misted tree, with shady Apsaras sheltering in his Lee's license, and his shadow was horrified by the potent bolts of interdiction, there would be fights all over Cuxhaven. Posh. Missioner Ida Wombwell, the 17-year-old revivalist, said, concerning the coincidence of interfizzing with grenadines and other respected and disgusted persons using the park, that perpendicular person is a brute, but a magnificent brute. Caligula, Mr. Daniel McGrath, bookmaker, well known to Eastralian users of the Sydney Parade Ballot, was, as usual, antipodal with his striving to die, happening to mellow wear-splash cobbler. "We have meat 2 hourly," sang out El Captain Bycout, with the famous Tardres Turidors tipcast, "meat 2 hourly matadir." Dan Michael-John, presenter of SS Smack and Ollies, was proverbal with his Opsiduxit, Mutatus Mutandus. Doran's Lord, Sniffbox, and Morgan's Lady, Flatterfun, took sides and crossed and bowed to each other's views and recrossed themselves. The dirty dubs up in their flies went too free, echoed the Daneley drabs, down in their sanities, una mona. Sylvia silenced the girl detective, Minerva, but by now one hears turtlings all over Dubland, when supplied with information as to the several facets of the case in her cosy-dozy bachelor's flat, quite overlooking John O'Dream's news, leaned back in her really truly easy chair to query restfully through her vowel-threaded syllables, "Had you ever thought, reporter, that sheer greatness was his tragedy? Nevertheless, according to my considerate attitude, per this act he should pay the full penalty, pending pursuance, as to subsection 32, section 11 of the CLA Act 1885, anything in this act to the contrary notwithstanding." Charlie Jerk began to sift, for he couldn't get home to Chelsea, but ended with, "He's got the sack that helped him molt in stench of his gladsome rags." Maher, a naval rating, seated on one of the granite cromlech sets of our new fish shambles for the usual aerating after the ever-popular act, with whom were Questa and Puella, piquant and white. This had a cold in her brain, while that felt a sink in her stomach, with what wet, was encouraged, although near vanished himself by one of his co-affiants, to get your breath, Walt, and gob it, and when they're chidden by her fastra sastra, to saddle up your pants, Neville. Thus Cor replied to her other's thanks kissing, "I lay my 2 finger buttons, fiancé Maher," he speaks. "He was to blame about your 2 velvet ties of Horniman's Hill, as Hook and I blame him or any other piss man. But I also think, Willy Wally, by the siege of his trousers there was someone else behind it. You bet your bottom blarneys about their 3 drummers down Kaiser's Lane. Trot. Be these mere marchant tailors' fablings of a race referent with odd man Rex? Is now all seen, heard, then forgotten? Can it was, one is fain in this leaden age of letters now to wit, that so diversified outrages they have still to come, were planned and partly carried out against so staunch a covenanter, if it be true that any of those recorded ever took place for many, we trow, be yes to and denied of, are given to us by some who use the truth, but sparingly, and we on this side ought the sorrow for their pricking pens on that account. The 7th city, Uro Vivla, his citadel of refuge, whither would we believe the laymen and their cunts, beyond the outraved gales of Adriatic, changing clues with a bagger Malsta, the Hedgerite had fled, silentius human, and the knight's alpha sonority, ship alone, a raven of the wave, be mercy Mara, a he went Rahulas, from the Ostmen's dirt beyond the old Vic, to forget in expiating manslaughter, and rebirthing in remarryment out of dead sickness, to divine preference, if you are looking for the builder, deep your ear on the movie tone, to league his lot palm and pat with the papy for mine twin, I thee give take, and bind my hosen band, I thee halter. The ways to be land, a luxurious land, emerald Ilium, the peasant pasture, in which by the 4th commandment with promise his days apostolic were to belong, by the abundant mercy of him which thundereth from on high, murmurs would rise against him with all which in them were, franchisables and inhabitants, Astia as Agora, Helots Philips, do him hurt poor jink, ghostly following bodily, as were he made a curse for them, the corruptible lay quick, all saints of incorruption of an holy nation, the common or Aaron garden cast away, in red resurrection to condemn, so they might convince him, first Pharaoh, Humpher as Cheops ex Arcas, of their proper sins. Business bred to speak with a stiff upper lip to all men, and most occasions the man we wot of took little short of fighting chances, but for all that, he or his care were subjected to the horrors of the premier terror of Errorland. We seem to us, to realise, to be reading our Amenti in the 6th sealed chapter of the Going Forth by Black. It was after the show at Wednesbury that one tall man, hunting a suspicious parcel, when returning late amid a dense particular on his home way from the second house of the Boer and Burgess Christie minstrels by the old spot Roy's Corner, had a Barkis revolver placed to his face with the words, "You're shot, Major," by an unknowable assailant, masked, against whom he had been jealous over Lotta Crabtree or Pomona Evelyn. More than that, when the waylayer, not a Lucaliza diocesan, or even of the Glendalough Sea, but hailing for the prow of Little Britain, mentioning in a by-the-way that he, the crosshopper, had, in addition to Reed's cutlass-scented blade, a loaded Hobson's, which left only twin alternatives, as vice versa. Either he would surely shoot her, the aunt, by pistol, she could be okay sure of that, or failing of such, bash in Patch's blank face beyond recognition, pointedly asked with Gaelish gall what cut Blizzard's business Thornton had with that Cane's fender, only to be answered by the aggravated assault, that was the snaps for him midweeks to sultry well go and find out if he was showry well able. But how transparently non-true, gentle writer. His feet one is not a tall man, not a tall man. No such parson, no such fender, no such lumber, no such race. Was it supposedly in connection with a girl's, Mirami Huey or Calora's Archer, on the Flaggy Bridge, for Anne there is but one live, and her new bridge is her old, or to explode his 12-chamber and force a shrivelty entrance that the heavy-built able body in a butcher blue blouse from One Life One Suit, a menswear store, with the most decisive bottle of single in his possession, seized after dark by the town guard at Have You Caught Emerald's Temperance Gateway, was there in a gateway. Fifthly, how parasoliloquizingly true-toned on his first time of hearing the wretch's statement that, muttering Irish, he had, or gloriously aloft, too much hangest or hush fine to drink in the House of Blazes, the Parrot in Hell, the Orange Tree, the Glipt, the Sun, the Holy Lamb, and last not least, in Ramadan Ship Hotel, since the morning moment he could distinguish a white thread from a black, till the engine of the laws be closed unto Murray, and was only falling Phil the Fluter up against the Gatestone pier, which, with the cow's bonnet atop with, he false took for a caterpillar, with purest, peaceablest intentions. Yet, how lamely hobbles the hoy of his then pseudo-Jocax explanation how, according to his own story, he was a process server, and was merely trying to open Zosimus a bottle of stout by martially hammering his magnum bonum, the curt of the club, the sword of the savage, against the bludgy gate for the boots about the swan, Morris Bean, who hastily into his shoes with nothing at all barret intact, and came down with hump, stemp, and jumpet to the tilt yard from the waist asleep, in his orny overclothes or choker, attracted by the Norse of guns, playing the landiest carpenter on the Raglar up to Doolin, said what prized safe in bed as he dreamed that he'd wealth in Mormon halls, when woken by a fourth loud snore out of his land of Yella, while Hickstry's maws was grazing in the moonlight, by hearing hammering on the pandywank scale emanating from the blind pig, and anything like it, una, in the whole history of the Mullincan Inn, he never. This battering babel all over the door and sideposts, he always said, was not in the very remotest like the belsy babble of a bottle of booze, which would not rouse him out of slumber deep, but reminded him loads more of the martial Aussie marses of foreign music and instruments, or the overthrower to the third last days of Pompery, if anything. And that after this most nooningless nocturne, the young rain came down desperate, and the old hippopotamus started clawing all over the plains as mud as she could be, ruinating all the butcher's shirts and the backer's wishing tugs, so that be the chandelier of the Reggiani Jaily, they were all night washing the Walters off, the weltering Walters off. What? Just one moment. A pinch in time of the ideal musketeers. Alphas, Burkhus, and Caramis leave Australia for the astrologeries, and for the love of the Sanses and the honour of Heaven's pike, pollywhack back the Pannin tool, and roll away the real world, and call all your smoke blushes snow white and rose red, if you will have the real queen. Now for a strawberry frolic. Filon, filouche, cherchons la flamme, pam, pam, pam. Come on, ordinary man, with that large, big, non-obly head and that blank, overbecked, fistula expression, Machinsky, Scapolopolos, Virginascu, or other. Your bachelor's mutton legs get muscle down from being too full. No, a beery weighed stone 1001 when Hazel